Truth before the truth. Truth before the truth. If there's anything I post on YouTube that I suggest to you to share with any and everyone, it is this. That is why I'm sharing it now. First, let's ask ourselves, why does anyone assume that no one cares? Albeit it is clearly evident that none of us care. No one cares, quote unquote, is a term of endearment expressing the sorrow of observing the tragedies of the world that you are not responsible for or can stop. As we are in it together, we also are not in it together. Simultaneous cause and effect. If you have expressed yourself to others or yourself with no one cares, then you are ready for the beginning of change. A change from privileged or not, raised by civilization, providing food for everyone, to self-reliance. Self-reliance means many things to many people. And this self-reliance means you are at that moment as a young adult where you feel inspired. Inspiration wants to initiate you into the gnosis of betterment. Without something better, inspiration only fuels excitement to do the same old thing. A small child is excited but is proven to be stupid. Biggest example of stupid is wanting candy. They're hungry but grab candy. Every young adult is brought into the world at some moment in time to the transition from being nourished and innocent to desiring to pick something to better themselves consciously instead of instinctively. Look at the world. Where to begin? What first? What's the best thing to do to begin your own journey in life, however alone or popular you are? Those aren't the questions you ask, as you haven't spent years noticing the bad stuff, the good stuff, and the not so bad stuff too, to contemplate. You've got to be lucky from the first draw. You have to shoot down what's in your way and everyone else's, although it's what binds us together, keeping us unconscious so we have each other. Together with each other later down the road of conflict has always been proven to have the highest potential. But you're on your own, beginning your own eclectic selections from the desire to be better. I know it to be true that everyone has this moment, and some of us get knocked out of it, as it doesn't happen to all of us at age 22 and 6 months of age. If the analysis began to list every little choice in order from 1 to 100,000, the best choice at the top, that is the wisest, therefore bettering you the most, the whole planet would be arguing, as there isn't a ring to fight in for the championship. The champion would be the best and strongest overall. Yes, overall, meaning not only physical but mental and so forth, to prove to everyone what is what and where to begin. Without that, and with all this inspiration everywhere calling you out, you are bound to do something stupid. Look on the bright side. If you become an immortal god living for eons, that would be how life is to be treated. Then, as well, anyone out there who's 4,000 years old will confess to you and their self, yeah, I am to this day a dumbass, but I do want to better myself. I'm in my 30s. I hope you're asking, what did you start with? For me, after watching the documentary Food Inc., I began that moment of transition. I immediately started heading in the direction of wanting a better diet. My first choice, I believe, is one of the best choices I could have made. Maybe I haven't spent enough time to think of what I could have chose within the immediate availability that would have been better. But it was a good choice. I stopped mainstream fast food, energy drinks, and soda. Of course, over the next few years, I did these things once more, but that is how you prove it once and for all to be no longer an option without without it deleting the betterment you've achieved. Without it gone and doing it again, you won't know that it deletes the betterment you've achieved. One rhyme I don't forget is this: remove completely from your being to see what it do when reintroduced. One more time. Remove completely from your being to see what it do when reintroduced. Without it in your system, you have more capability if the replacement is better. Then going back to it, you sense loss. For me, fast food, energy drinks, and soda helped me begin deleting myself, just like that Linkin Park song. I forget which track, but he wants to erase himself. To be better, you have to delete to replace. Those three things gone gave room. That first year, reminiscing gives me confidence and bliss forever, as I was lucky enough to grab one of the better choices. Think of this: if you don't take out the worst things you do that you can stop yourself from doing first, the other good things, small in comparison, only help you continue the worst. During the first year after taking out those three things, most food available is better than those three. I didn't go up the rank. I went straight into what is said to be the best only. At first, I continued to eat Mexican fast food, family owned places where they use produce instead of pre cooked, super salted, and dehydrated, then placed in a wrapper to reheat for you meals. Luckily, I was poor then, because that made me not tempted to go to restaurants that do the same thing, especially chain restaurants. Without the sedative like effect of not eating these foods and exercising to detox from them, almost drove me insane one time. When I felt as if I was going insane, not knowing what to do and just feeling gone, without those three hardcore um, sedative like foods, that's when I ate a Hershey's chocolate bar. Not something I eat now, but it relieved me of the panic I wasn't able to handle yet. Without these three things, knowing that all three are just as bad, eating one of them one more time, I can see what happened to us as children, especially in American cities. It shuts you down, for it takes lots of energy to use it as food. If it was reintroduced all at once to healthy adults, it would near paralyze them. As you can see, the sedation effect or thick material the food is, looking at the ingredients it's made of, has only become more and more against a human since it began. As a human doesn't need any of these super toxic organ stopping foods unless they want to shut down their brains and drift in order to be only told what to do by outer forces. Then all of the junk food isn't bad for you, because then it is a food that keeps you alive and doesn't murder you, because it shuts you down and lets you do as you're told. But you can't know that. You can't think and need to drift obediently to the world consciously, for your conscious is using your brain. You can't use your brain with these foods. You need to be a robot to be healthy, shoving whatever you're given down your throat. And they do make it taste great. That's your reward, oblivious and fed. So my decision to begin in my gnosis of betterment isn't good for those that want to do that. Hey, let's confess, those that cannot care need one more thing but oblivion and a food provider. That one thing are the people who do not want to do that, to be the directors of every action, the oblivious, who prefer oblivion, perform. This is where my betterment and coexistence ends, because this decision must be made by everyone, and a decision made by everyone isn't possible. So I resort to tolerance and my continuum of practicing betterment. Taking out of you those three intake consumptions will shove you out of being completely shut down from unconscious, subconscious state that depends on those above to order you, sustain you, and make the decisions for you, into higher consciousness. Before we end voting as a thing, let's get some more precedent priorities accomplished first. To end the feud between those who want to consciously change and manage themselves, between those that don't, everyone needs to remember that this one feud, one fight between all of us, this is one fight. There are many. Remembering we destroy each other, trying to do both, as both are personally and individually impossible, as long as we are sustained nutritionally with any food that is possibly a cause of defects to someone who wants to consciously change and manage theirself. But these junk foods, especially with marijuana, this is a retirement fantasy of mine. Don't forget video games too. These junk foods, all designed to satisfy taste buds and a stomach wanting to be filled, do allow you to never depend on yourself to consciously manage and change yourself. Just be a living consumer or a self-selecting spiritual light. To coexist as two, we can never conflict. To coexist as two, we can never conflict. Notice that I have considered to give in completely and be subjected, where deciding to, I wouldn't do anything but accept. Acceptance leads to no stress from chosen obligations, as you can live with a job, whatever foods, and a house. Now you see the problem. We are not deciding or knowing, we are fighting each other. Peace in this duality only gives everyone what they want. I want you to know, as an American, eating junk, as when I was young, or eating whatever tastes good, I know that I was shut down all the way, and for years did not become sick from any of the poisons that are given to us to shut us down. That means it's not so bad until you attempt to consciously direct yourself. Whatever else this is proof of, this is why this is a mainstream gnosis that no matter who you are, you should consider. This is vital information that I would share with everyone if I had the money to put it out there. Most everything else I put on the internet is for a self-reliant, conscious individual who's decided to live this way and not that way. So with all the sickness and disease, you now know that we all need to personally, completely decide which way each of us want to go To be together. Here's that rhyme one more time. Remove completely from your being to see what it do when reintroduced. Truth before the truth.